Hi there, and welcome to Clueless Cooking 101. I'm Tammy, and this is Ed. Here at Clueless Cooking 101, recipes are optional, measurements are questionable, and the smoke alarm is basically our sous chef. If you're here for the laughs and to learn a little bit about cooking and to watch me try to not burn down the kitchen, you're in the right place. Okay, Clueless Cooks, let's have some laughs and have some fun in the kitchen. Hello, Clueless Cooks, and welcome to Clueless Cooking 101. For our New Year's starter, we're going to make authentic Mexican street tacos. The protein, I used roast beef, and I'm on a little guilt trip because we haven't done an episode yet on making a really good pot roast beef, but I did it anyway, and one of the people from the food trucks in Bentonville, Arkansas, gave me a recipe for making a Mexican pot roast. And you have to slow cook it, like on 250 I did it for like 12 hours. So it's falling apart tender, just incredibly flavorful. Again, welcome to 2026, and I'll show you the ingredients for salsa. And I also bought ready-made sauce, so you can buy tons of different kinds at Walmart. And you're not going to see Eddie, but he's going to tell you the difference between red salsa and green salsa. So if you go down the international food aisle where there's a lot of Hispanic ingredients and all of that, you'll know what salsa to buy. I bought this Mateo's gourmet salsa that's mild at Walmart. And I was looking for organic, of course, couldn't find it, but you're going to hear a voice to tell you the difference between hot salsa and mild salsa and different colors. Go, Eddie, and then we'll do the ingredients.
So, if you're looking for that authentic Mexican taste and you don't like spicy per se, red salsa, stay away from the red salsa. Red salsa is always going to be more for the folks who really like that hot taste to burn your mouth. Green salsa is going to be a mouthful of flavor. So that's how you identify which salsa you want. Red is for hot, green is for flavor. If you're like me, feel free to mix both, and it gives you a really distinct flavor. It's a mix between spicy and hot, and that's the best way to do it in my opinion.
Okay, so I bought this that is red, but it says it's mild, so
a little bit more on the
spicy?
Sweeter side, yeah.
Gotcha. And I looked at the ingredients. I don't see anything in there that's sweet.
Mild,
Maybe
probably
the tomatoes. Gotcha.
How many tomatoes they actually put in there, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's all depends on, again, the flavor that you're going for. My wife, she definitely prefers more of a sweeter taco than hot and spicy and flavorful like I do.
Gotcha.
So everybody's so different.
Okay. All right. So I did cheat, and I already prepared the pot roast. It's ready to be shredded. And I got this Mexican recipe from one of the food trucks, and we'll go into that another time. You can use whatever kind of protein that you want for the base of your taco, for the, I'm going to call it the meat, even though it might not be meat. And you can also do vegetarian. But the protein is, you can use ground beef. Please don't, but you can. You can use steak. It generally needs to be marinated, because if you prepare it the way that the Mexicans do, it's a little bit tough. I did the roast beef because it can be shredded and it's super tender. It's very, very tender, but amazing flavor. You can use shredded pork. That's very popular in Mexico. You can actually use pork, and you can use pork like a steak or chop and cut it up. But again, those like to be marinated, and you can do shredded chicken. Also, I don't know if you've had fish tacos. We're not doing that because it's kind of complicated and messy, but you can do that. And different regions of Mexico specialize in different kinds of tacos. And I don't know what region, what I'm teaching you how to do. I don't know what it comes from, but Eddie used a C word for the meat. What was
Carnitas.
Carnitas. Okay, and so that's what we have. I'm going to show you how to do that after we get the salsa ingredients, which I'm going to show you now, and then we're going to chop them and put them in the blender, and then that's going to be our salsa. I don't think it has to be heated. I think it's just mixed together, and I'm going to try to leave it slightly chunky, but not sure if that's going to work, because this is my first time at making salsa. I hate to admit it. Hey, Clueless Cooks, sorry to interrupt this episode. I know you're probably looking at your social media feeds, so since you're already doing that, check us out. Check out Clueless Cooking 101 on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, Substack, and I even have a blog. We have videos and written posts. So check us out on all those social media sites, and we'd love to hear your comments. So here we go. Ingredients for salsa are Roma tomatoes, and I looked on the internet, and there are a couple of different ways to make it, and we're going to broil these. We're going to broil some tomato, and then also jalapenos. It said to use 2, and what you do is when we cut them, we're going to take the seeds and whatever that fleshy stuff out of, and it takes a lot of the heat out. I'm supposed to use fresh cilantro. I couldn't believe Walmart was out of it. I thought I died and went to hell. But anyway, they had this gourmet cilantro. It's probably, what's it suspended in? It's got some sea salt in it, and it's got some oil in it. So it's suspended in oil. And so instead of using a fresh cilantro, I'm going to tell you how much to use, which is preferable. We're going to use this paste this time. It said that to use red wine vinegar. I didn't happen to have it, but I do have apple cider vinegar, so we're going to use that. You know, my old friend sriracha, we're going to put some of that in, even though it wasn't on the recipe on the internet. Salt, pepper, cumin, and some lime juice. Maybe some onions. Yeah, some onions. And we're going to use this kind of an onion, a real onion, chopped up for the salsa, but we're going to top our tacos with tops of green onions. I think they're a little bit milder, but they're also really pretty color. So I'm going to grab my apron and we're going to get going. So you don't have to do this, but I want to broil the tomatoes and jalapenos to get a little bit of a smokier flavor. And I got this, of course, off the internet. And so I already washed the tomatoes, and I want to show you this cute little colander that I got at the Dollar Tree. And it actually folds up flat. I'll show you how it works later if I remember. And we're going to cut these tomatoes in half. Oh, it works better with a serrated knife. So that's it. We're just going to cut the tomato in half. And since it's winter, it's probably not the best time on the planet to buy fresh tomatoes, but we're doing it. I don't know if we're supposed to take the seeds out, and I'm not doing that either. So, and I have like one stray non-Roma tomato just because I was kind of curious to see why you use Roma tomatoes. And there's your tomato. It's a little deeper red than the Romas. Yeah, I don't know why. Okay, here we go with the jalapenos. This I've never done before. So this is the fleshy part. That's what we're supposed to take out, and the seeds. And because we're not trying to make people cry from the heat, if this is their first time making tacos, or if they're making tacos for people who tend to shy away from what they would consider heat or spicy foods. Now, I was told that when you clean a jalapeno, never rub your eyes until you wash your hands. So, because if you get this in your eyes, it's not going to be fun. And eye drops don't work very well in terms of getting them out. So just don't do that. And we're going to go for the second jalapeno, and we'll see how hot they are once they come out from being broiled. By the way, preheat your oven to broil, and get your rack somewhat close to the top, maybe 6 inches away. And we're going to broil these veggies. The other thing that I read on the internet about Mexicans is that they eat fresh pineapple with their tacos as a side. that's what I was gonna do with the au jus from the meat, is I'm gonna put that on the pineapple, so the pineapple has a little kick, and then we'll broil the pineapple, but we'll do that in a little bit. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and broil these veggies. I'm gonna put these in the oven for, I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be 10 minutes. If it's longer, you'll know right away. And I'm gonna turn the light on so we can look, make sure that we don't burn the veggies like I burned the cookies on the chocolate chip cookie episode. That was embarrassing. Okay, so when we chop this onion, we're just gonna chop it in pieces that are bigger than we would eat, but it's all gonna go in the blender with the tomatoes and the jalapenos. I'm gonna use 1 onion, and I'm gonna use 1/4 cup of vinegar. So I'm gonna use apple cider vinegar. Okay, and you're supposed to use 1/4 cup of fresh cilantro, and I couldn't find it. So, and you know, if you don't wanna mess around with chopping cilantro, I'm gonna use a tablespoon of cilantro paste. I'm gonna use 1 teaspoon of cumin. And you know, I don't level it off or anything like that. I don't think you can really, we're not baking a cake. And we need some lime juice. Okay, so how much lime juice? Let's use 1 whole lime. And you know, good luck trying to find organic limes. I can find organic lemons, but not limes. So I'm gonna cut it into quarters, and then just, I don't know why they don't have seeds. I'm gonna squeeze this lime juice, but I'm gonna check these broiled veggies. They're okay so far. Okay, there's a whole lime. We're gonna use 1 tablespoon of sriracha in here. That would be the big one. And you don't have to use this if you have an aversion to a little kick. But in my opinion, when you mix sriracha with a citrus like a lime or a lemon, it suddenly isn't hot, it just enhances the flavor. And we're gonna use a teaspoon of pepper, like regular ground pepper. And then I'm gonna use a teaspoon of salt. And I use pink Himalayan. You don't have to, you can use any kind of salt that you want. I just do it because for some reason, I think it's healthier. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the oregano and the salsa 1 teaspoon, just for the heck of it. But we're gonna stir it together, cross our fingers. All right, so while the tomatoes and the jalapenos are broiling, I'm gonna get the spiced beef and we're gonna shred it. So, you know, roasts are flat. So I use this skillet, made a big mess, you know. That's what dishwashers are for. And I'm gonna put this beef, this roast, in this bowl, and then we're going to shred it. So what I'm gonna do is get this, I'm gonna scrape all the stuff off of this beef because it definitely has a kick. I'm trying to make it flavorful but not painful. And this jus is left, so I used a can of tomatoes and some spices and stuff like that. And dang, it's good. Okay, so this is gonna be the beef for our tacos. And I'm gonna put on these gloves and do it by hand, although you can do it with a fork and shred it that way. I'm gonna use my hands. That way I can get it to be the size that I want. But before I start, I'm gonna look at those things again. We're getting there. Okay, so this was an Angus chuck roast, nothing fancy. And then I just followed the recipe for the Mexican beef that the guys in the food truck gave me. So I'm gonna try to put it in little pieces that make it, it's really tender, as you can see, that make it easy to eat the taco. Okay, so here is our shredded pot roast, our shredded beef with the Mexican spices. And the street tacos that we're preparing is just a corn tortilla that we're gonna heat up, shredded beef like this, and salsa and a few chopped onions, and that's it. All right, so there's our shredded beef, and those peppers are talking to me, but I don't know what to do with them yet. Let's see how we're doing with our tomatoes. Is our 10 minutes up yet? I think we've probably done more than 10 minutes, but. Hey, Clueless Cooks, another interruption. If you will check out my website, which is cluelesscooking101.com, I'd really appreciate it. We have a blog with some recipes, and we also are going to have merchandise coming up soon so that you can have a cool apron like mine. But in the meantime, just check out our website, and I'd really appreciate it. We'll see you there. Okay, we're back, and the broiled tomatoes and jalapenos are 10 minutes is actually up, and it was more like 13. But I wanted them to get browned. So you can go ahead and turn off your oven. Then we're going to chop the tomatoes and jalapenos, and then we're going to put all this stuff in the blender, and theoretically it's going to come out really, really good. So this is what our roasted tomatoes, this is what they look like. And okay, here we go with the jalapenos. I think I'm going to start with one, taste the salsa and see what it did. See if it's really mild without the seeds. I'm cutting these broiled jalapenos up into pieces about that size. I guess you don't really have to, but to make them smaller, but I am. Okay, there go the jalapenos into what we're going to blend. And even though, oh, those are a little bit warm. Even though we don't have to drain these off, a lot of the water that's in the tomatoes is going to end up on the cutting board. And these tomatoes are a little warm. You can cool them to room temperature, but for the sake of time, I'm going to use warm ones. Okay. And just remember, there's one more jalapeno that I'm not going to use yet. We're going to put this in the blender. All right, those are all the ingredients for our salsa. And again, you can buy it out of a jar, but your YouTube mom says make it fresh. It'll probably taste better and be much more impressive. All right, so that's like just a little blender top. And I use a magic bullet. So here we go. So we're going to go ahead and put that other, oh boy, maybe it's just mild to me. We're going to put that other jalapeno in there. Oh, it's really good. All right, here's some more jalapenos. And we're going to put a little more salt in there. I think we started with 1 teaspoon. So we're going to cook it up to 2 teaspoons. And we'll see how that goes. And then we'll taste it. Okay, and there's the teaspoon. 1 more teaspoon. Just put it right in the blender and blend it for another few seconds. So we used 1.5 jalapenos and 2 teaspoons of salt rather than 1 teaspoon in tacos. So the next thing that we're going to do is heat corn tortillas. Eddie told me that flour tortillas heat really fast. Corn tortillas, he brought me this cast iron skillet because I don't have one, and you don't have to use it, but if you do have one, that's ideal. I see them in a thrift store occasionally. They're kind of expensive, so just use a regular skillet to heat your tortilla. In authentic Mexican tacos, I am told, Eddie said, that you use the fat from whatever kind of protein you're using, but I didn't get that memo. So we're just going to use olive oil to heat them and then put them on a plate, and then we'll put them together and do the taste test, see what we think. All right. So, the other thing that we're going to do before we heat up the tortillas is we're going to garnish these tacos with the tops of green onions. So we've got this, we're going to have tortilla, shredded beef that's spiced, salsa, and then green onions, the end. And then we'll do our taste test and see how it goes. Okay, so these have been used and washed, and so we're gonna see how much we get out of, I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 green onions left. Probably use them in something else. And we're cutting the tops off. Let's see how much, this looks like about 1/4 cup, yeah, of chopped green onions. And then we'll sprinkle those on top of our street tacos. That will be our garnish. And you can use some fresh cilantro, which of course I don't have. All right, now here's the cast iron skillet. Come on, we're just going to put some olive oil in it. Okay, now I am told a couple of different things about corn tortillas. I bought two different kinds. I bought yellow ones, which are typical, but I also, you know me, I look for the organic stuff, and this is blue corn tortillas, and they are organic. So we're gonna heat up the blue tortillas, and I'm told two things, that you heat these in a cast iron skillet, and if you're not a sissy like me, you turn over the tortillas with your hand, or with your fingers. I'm just using tongs because I have a feeling that it's not gonna be good. Okay, on the skillet, I'm told that the skillet has to get really hot. Then you put the tortillas in, and it takes a little longer to cook the corn tortillas than flour tortillas. If you have flour or you prefer them, just cook them less. Okay, so for your New Year's Day tacos, serve it to the people that you invite over to watch the bowl games. Anybody know who's in the bowl games this year? This is what a heated corn tortilla looks like. We're going to take I don't know how much you're supposed to put on here. A little bit of our shredded beef, and get a little bit of our salsa. I never did get a pretty container for it to put it in. It's going to be good. And then we'll sprinkle some green onions on it. So this is on a blue corn tortilla. And I'm going to cook another one, so we'll have two. All right. Some shredded beef, a little salsa. Maybe a little more than that. And some green onions. Is lime juice acceptable on these also? Is that, because I think I read that you serve these with a garnish or a slice of lime in case somebody wants to use it. So I'm gonna make them this big. So I'm gonna cut a half into fours, and we're gonna just drizzle a little bit of lime juice on there. And let's taste. Let's see what we come up with. I hate to eat in front of everybody. This is really good. It doesn't have that crunchy, El Paso taco shell, that hard shell that you get in the box that has everything. It doesn't have that ground beef, spicy. I think it's mostly cumin and salt and whatever kind of chemicals they use. It doesn't have that. The salsa is so fresh tasting. Little onions on top. You really don't need the lime, but I like the flavor of it. And it does throttle back a little bit of the heat, but there's not much in there. So once you get all of these ingredients made, then really all you have to do is heat up the tortillas. That can go pretty darn fast. Anyway, so this is your authentic Mexican street taco. Happy Rose Bowl, Happy New Year's. Happy 2026, and feel free to use chicken or pork or ground beef, but if you spice it, I'm going to give you the ingredients another time on how to spice this so that it's authentic rather than tasting like it's from a kit, because if you're a beginner, we don't want anything to taste processed or like it's from a kit or anything. And I'm going to take another bite of this taco because it's pretty darn good. Eddie normally doesn't try it, but I made one for you just in case you want to. I got the salsa on that finger lick. I think the cheese, if you put cheese on it, it would just interfere with this very clean, simple flavor. And so we're going to leave it as is. Wish you Happy New Year's. Enjoy these for yourself or for serving, to your friends or family. If you have a get together or a watch party or a football game or whatever, even the Super Bowl's coming up, it would be a nice touch there. Or you can save this recipe and just treat yourself. The one thing I will tell you is that you can probably freeze the beef, the shredded beef. You might be able to freeze the salsa. I'm not 100% sure. And I know that you can freeze the tortillas, but they're better. You can get them fresh. Walmart has a bunch of different kinds of tortillas, but be very careful because a lot of them are flour tortillas. The majority of them, you have to look a little bit to find the corn tortillas, And of course, you know me, I ended up with the blue corn because it's organic. It's really kind of hard to find organic tortillas. So, bon appetit. If I had a little bit more time, or you had a little bit more time, we'd show you how to do the pineapple. I'm going to do that myself. Love it with sangria or a great Pacifico or a Mexican beer. Always, you know, always a good combination. So happy New Year's. Thank you for watching Clueless Cooking 101. Enjoy your tacos. See you again. It came out really good. Thanks for watching and for supporting this clueless adventure. Looks like we all survived another round of Clueless Cooking 101. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell because it only gets messier from here.